Hey, what is up guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to the Crew Motorfest as we head into part 2 of our full game walkthrough. We've continued on from the Hawaii Scenic Tour, which was a bit more of a laid back start to the entire game, and we're going to pump it up a little bit ready for the Made in Japan playlist. Now, I do have an insane passion for anything to do with Japan, whether that be the vehicles or the culture, and it's great to see these put to the forefront of this playlist, and I cannot wait to see what this playlist has in store for us. So without further ado, let's head straight into it with the Made in Japan playlist. I'll let the intro play and then we'll get straight into all of the events this playlist has to offer. So welcome to the Made in Japan playlist. As you can see, we're going to get a bit of a playlist introduction to some of the characters that are surrounding this playlist. Now, it's basically a Japanese street crew running all types of iconic JDM icons, really. And yeah, it's pretty cool, this intro. You're going to get some introduction to all of the characters. And in terms of this playlist, the first time you take them on, you will be loaned their vehicle to, well, go ahead and try it out. Now, I believe if you play the playlist for the second time, you will be able to use your own vehicles or own versions of the vehicles that it does kind of like specify you to use. As you can see, up first we've got a absolute legend of the JDMC in the Honda NSX, the original, the most beautiful and striking model in my honest opinion. Now, what you're going to see in this one is I'm actually playing this in co-op. Yes, co-op does return for the Crew Motorfest. You can play through pretty much anything with a group of friends or a crew. Up to 4 of you can be in a crew at the same time. As you can see, I've got 2 others with me here. I will be kind of, hosting or having my crew sort of open. So if any of you guys do want to join me along the way, maybe, do some sort of shooting with me in terms of the videos and such, feel free. To be quite honest, I'm happy to have anyone in here and just kind of have a bit of a laugh along the way. Now, how does it actually work in terms of the co-op? Because this is something I didn't really touch on in the first playlist. I did that entirely solo. So what essentially happens if you've got a crew with you, it works the same way as it did in the Crew 2. Only one of you needs to kind of meet the objective. Once you do, although it'll tell the others that you've kind of gone on to fail it, they'll actually just pass it just due to the fact that, at least someone in that crew placed in the sort of objective. So if it's top 3 and say the other 2 don't get top 3, which is kind of happening here, as long as the kind of, one of the players does get that top 3, it will complete the event for all of you. So there you go. If you do have someone that's pretty decent at the game and you want to get some extra credits running on the hardest difficulty and such, then it is entirely possible. So race 1, let's just have a quick chat about that as we finish it up here. It's a pretty cool kind of, street to mountain run, typically Japanese, full of temples, and it's a pretty cool introduction. But we're going to step it up a notch next time, and we're going to go for a bit of a, I guess what they call the wangan, in a sense where it's kind of there to mimic high-speed highway racing, and we're going to be using the legendary R34 GTR here. So there is a bunch of different disciplines on offer. It's mainly to all cover the different types of Japanese car culture. So you'll see the likes of drift. There is some drag in this as well. You've got Touge as well, which is usually a head-to-head, but obviously you'll see how it works in co-op, where there's just kind of, far too many of you for a single sort of, downhill mountain run, which is just, it's pretty cool at the same time, but it does get a little bit clustered and chaotic if you're sort of all together. So let's just stick on track with race 2. We're using the R34 GTR. Now, as you're going to see, in terms of the custom version of the car, if you do own an R34, once you've completed the event once and you go back, you can use your own version. Jodie, who is currently in this lobby with us, she is able to use her custom R34 GTR because she's already gone on and beaten the entire playlist. So it does kind of work like that. You aren't always forced to use the loan car. It mainly just works like that, I believe, the first time around. I know I own a couple of R34s in different types, as well as some RX7s and such, which you'll see throughout this sort of playlist, but I wasn't allowed to use them for my first sort of go through of it. But it does unlock the chance to use that car or your custom version of the car that it's chosen as you kind of play through a second time, and that's kind of how the crews sort of always work. You'll be doing quite a bit of replaying events in terms of, you know, grinding the game and getting that cash there, going into PvP and all that kind of stuff. So in terms of this one, again, it's much more of a high speed event, whereas the first event was a bit of a kind of, you know, going into a little town and then up into the mountains and, you know, back down again, typically Japanese style with a bunch of temples and such. This one is there to literally mimic sort of highway racing that we see out in Japan, and yeah, it's absolutely pretty incredible to see. There is some really good high speed sections, and the sense of speed in this game really is quite fantastic. It's definitely better than some games that I've played recently. You either get it right or you don't, and that's not to say that the Crew Motorfest gets it absolutely nailed down each time, but you know, especially in terms of these events where you're on a more open stretch of road and you can get the pedal to the metal, then you will find that the sense of speed is actually quite good. So that's going to round off event number 2 of the Made in Japan playlist. So let's move on to event number 3, and this is where we're going to head up to some of the origins of Japanese kind of street racing and such. We're going to do a bit of Touge this time using the awesome Mazda RX7 with its rotary engine. Now we're up against a Mazda MX-5 here. Again, this is one of the characters that we saw in the intro. It's actually, I believe, the only vehicle that you won't use through this entire playlist, and the game does actually go on to mention that and sort of mention that maybe you'll use it another time. So I don't know if that's a straight up hint at some future content. Who actually knows? Maybe they'll sort of bring more JDM themed playlists back. As you can see there, what this event usually would be a head-to-head, and you've seen one of the custom cars there on the left, but it's kind of not turned into a head-to-head for this one, mainly because there's just a group of us, so it does get a bit clustered and a bit tight on the Touge battle here, but again, it's overall a fairly straightforward event. There is some awesome mountain roads that I did mention sort of during the Hawaii Scenic Tour in part 1 of this playthrough. I will link that at the end of this video. You really, if you haven't watched it already, I do recommend, because that is definitely kind of a decent introduction to the game and kind of, you know, seeing what this map has to offer, and you're seeing it kind of in its full-blown form here of just how good some of these roads are. So again, perfectly made for Touge. We're going to have a nice little head-to-head here with someone in my crew. Now it's definitely more enjoyable with friends in terms of actually, you know, doing the races. You can have a laugh but also have some great battles throughout as well, especially if you're on a similar skill level. Now in terms of the downhill section, so you're going to kind of really start going downhill in the latter part of this event. It's probably the best part by an absolute margin. You're hitting higher speeds, you know, you're finding yourself absolutely smashing that handbrake to get yourself around the corners. It's absolutely incredible. And maybe it's just me, but kind of in the mid-2000s we saw a lot of kind of Touge games that was kind of more mainstream, but it's kind of disappeared. So it's great to see it at least make some form of return within the Crew Motorfest and see it actually get a look in. It does feel like it's part of a forgotten, you know, Japanese car culture bit. Now we're going to do a bit of drift next. Obviously this is a Made in Japan playlist, and it wouldn't be that without drift. We're once again using the RX7, but with a completely different upgrade to it. So this will be the drift version of the RX7. There is obviously the base model of the car that usually starts out as street, then it can go on to have drag, drift, you know, the typical Crew way of working these vehicles. Now in terms of the drift mechanics in the game, this was definitely a weaker point in the Crew 2, where there was just almost no feeling to any of the vehicles. That is massively upgraded in the Crew Motorfest. There's definitely a weight to them, and whilst there's still very kind of loose feeling and very kind of not as weighty within the drift mode, it's certainly improved upon. There is definitely more of a sort of skill gap there to get used to the drifting in this game, and to try and get used used to the weight, whereas in the Crew 2 you could sort of just absolutely fling the car through anything and it just goes sideways forever. Yeah, you definitely need to sort of get used to the weighty feeling of these vehicles, and whilst it's not perfect, the drift mechanics are definitely improved upon compared to the likes of the Crew 2. So it's definitely a step in the right direction in pretty much every department for the physics and more handling side of the game. It is probably the biggest improvement, apart from the visuals, that you will notice instantly with the Crew Motorfest. They've really took some time in just making the cars feel overall better. So we're going to finish up the drift event here. It really wasn't too tough. As long as you've kind of drifted in the Crew before, you'll have a decent idea on how to get it done within sort of the Crew Motorfest. It's really just not that difficult at all. So we're going to finish that event up and move into another discipline once again, this time with drag, and we're going to return to the R34 GTR. I'm just going to show you my first and original run to give you a quick rundown on how this works. So we've got the R34 GTR once again, this time in its drag form. We're going to be hitting upwards of, you know, the high 200s to 300 miles per hour. It's always been crazy with the drag in the Crew games, and it's great to see it once again. We've got all three of us lined up, and we're going to have to do a bit of a burnout to get those tires nice and sticky and ready to do a fast run down the strip. So we're looking at the bar on the left. You just kind of mark it up. This is very reminiscent of the likes of, you know, Need for Speed Underground way back when. And then as soon as the lights go, you're going to be shifting up. It's going to force you into manual, and you've also got the nitrous to do a boost, and you're just going to try and beat the sort of time target in terms of your run. Overall, it's really not too difficult. I got a 11.3 and it absolutely smashed the target time. So that is just going to be a quick look at drag. I don't want to kind of, you know, do all the runs. They was all very similar, but drag is returning, and it's very, very much a decent bit of fun. So let's roll around to our second to last event. We're using the Lancer Evolution, or the Evo 10, in probably the ugliest form I've ever seen it. This looks like, you know, maybe an 8-year-old made the kit for this thing with its kind of blue accents. It's just absolutely disgusting, to be quite honest. But this is going to be the second to last event. Very similar in themes, both of these. They're both, the final two events, going to be sort of, you know, kind of city circuits, all neon lit, and it's when the game looks absolutely phenomenal in terms of the visuals, and just showing off. If you kind of wanted to show off the visuals of this game to someone that might not even know what the Crew is, then you would probably do them with these events. The neon lighting, the sort of wet reflective surface, it's just absolutely insane. Now you may notice that all of the AI cars are upgraded over their original version. They will upgrade with you, so whilst they're very much sort of base models to begin with, they're not very much base anymore. As you can see, we've got once again our Crew with us, and it's definitely going to be a good time. We're using a very much grip built car. It's very easy to drive the Lancer Evo. In terms of AI though, they definitely stepped up the difficulty in this final part of the playlist in terms of their overall speed and how they actually cope with the racing entirely. So it's definitely a nice little track. It's just a quick 2-lap sprint. Again, if you've got decent people in your crew, you can have a proper little laugh with this, and, you know, try and have a few battles throughout. As you can see, all of the upgraded cars and neon lighting, it just sets a great scene for a very, very good time with friends. And in terms of the next event, I'm going to give you a bit of a preview. We're going to be using what is essentially the poster car for the Made in Japan playlist. So we're going to head over to the Supra pretty soon. We're going to finish this event up, and as far as battling went, it didn't last, you know, really too long. In terms of the track layouts though, they're kind of very samey depending on the location. That's definitely what I noticed between sort of the first of the two events, which was the Lancer Evo, and the one we're going to move into next, which is using this Supra. You're going to get a nice little sort of cutscene intro to the final event, where all the cars are kind of cruising together. You've got all of the people that you've kind of met through the playlist in their fully upgraded vehicles. You've got basically a nod back to Too Fast Too Furious with the Skyline. You got the NSX with its full wide body, the Evo that we've just used. It's definitely awesome. And then it does a nice little introduction to the Toyota Supra, where the kind of characters are all complimenting it and stuff, and it goes all slow-mo. Overall, this Supra is absolutely awesome, and it's great to see the A80 Supra actually get into the Crew Motorfest. Now, in terms of a final event, this is definitely when the game feels like it steps it up, and you may remember that in terms of the introduction to the game, when you kind of got the character speaking to you and telling her that she's been trying all of the playlists for you, we actually got to use this car in this very same event. So this is what we're going to be using. It's the A80 Supra. You are going to get this as a reward car. It's absolutely awesome. If you haven't tried it yet, I honestly think in terms of the styling and the kit that they've got on this thing, it really does suit kind of the Japanese JDM night vibes. In terms of the track layout, I actually prefer this one over the original. Whilst they are kind of very kind of hit and miss and can feel samey at times, it definitely felt like this was the better of the two tracks that we've kind of finalized this event with. So it's going to be a 3-lap showdown this time. I'm going to have a pretty good battle with someone in my crew here, and yeah, it's going to be just a great overall time. In terms of sights and sounds as well, that is massively improved. The sound design obviously mixed with the neon lighting and sort of the turbo and the you know, the sounds of the R34s, the rotary sounds of the Mazda, kind of all mixes together to provide a great atmosphere. And in terms of sort of the overall car culture, and given a nod to that different car culture, especially the JDM car culture, it was something that I mentioned when I did the 10 things I love after the beta, was just the fact that it does feel like it's given a proper nod to the car cultures that it goes through. We've also got the likes of the Porsche 911, which feels like a great kind of, you know, story from origin to the present day of the 911. You've got the JDM one, which is obviously all surrounding the different types of Japanese car culture, the different types of street racing, from, you know, sort of highways to mountain roads, drift, you know, all that stuff, Touge, just mixed into one. And I feel like this is where the crew actually shines in terms of the playlist. On average, they take around about an hour to beat, but to be honest, it's probably the best hour of just showing off what this game wants to show off. It gets straight to the point. It shows you what it wants to show you for each playlist. They're all differently themed. They all feel kind of good at showing what they're supposed to show. And honestly, that's where this game will always excel. It's where it's been good at since the beta, and it's even better in the final version. Now we've seen what all of the playlists have to offer. So yes, in all honesty, if you wanted a game that really does feel like a nod to not just car culture but vehicle culture in general, from boats to planes to motorbikes to different categories of vehicles, from off-road, JDM, then this really is the game for you. You know, a lot of games claim that they're all about loving cars, but I don't think any of them really nail those different vibes as well as I've actually seen the Crew Motorfest do. All the playlists are individually themed, and it works very well in kind of showing you what that type of car culture is about. So we're going to finish off the final event here, and we're going to be able to get this Supra as a reward. So we're going to cross the line and finish up the playlist before we go ahead and have a look at our reward car with that awesome vehicle intro that we see for all of these playlists. So here we go. Once again, we're going to get that awesome little kind of tiki Hawaiian rainforest intro with the Made in Japan logo in the background. And that's it. We have now unlocked the A80 Toyota Supra in its Made in Japan form. Now you can still go ahead and get the base version, but in terms of just this style and representing what this playlist was about, I think they absolutely nailed this reward car. Whilst the Ford Bronco that we got previously was fairly cool, it's not really overall going to be the most used vehicle in the game, but this A80 Toyota Supra is definitely one you want to be chucking the upgrades on. It's a damn good time, and it's a damn good looking vehicle. So there we go. That is the reward car. That is the playlist B, and that is part 2 of the Crew Motorfest done and dusted. Now next we're going to be moving on to the American Muscle playlist, and it's going to be a damn good time. It's all about American car culture. It's all about those history of American vehicles. It's going to be a great time. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to leave a like, comment and subscribe. Turn your notifications on so you don't miss an upload from me. I'm going to be covering everything to do with the Crew Motorfest over the coming months and probably years, since these games are so well supported. I will see you in the next one. I'll have a bunch of videos up for the rest of the day, as well as into tomorrow for part 3 and more of the Crew Motorfest. I'll see you later, guys. Take care. Peace.